Hey, 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 friends. Welcome back to Thriving Thoughts. I'm your host, Dr. Sherri. Friends, I am honored to bring you this conversation today with my friend, Lisa Martinez. But before we get to that, I usually save this for the end, but I want more of you who are probably like me and racing to get off the podcast to go do your next thing to hear this message that I usually put at the end. Did you know that I send a Thriving Thought message directly to your text messaging inbox 3 times a week? Did you know that I do that? Well, you got to sign up first if you want to do it, if you want to be a part of it. I have a number of people that are a part of it, and I love to engage with you all that way. I just share something that's on my heart, and sometimes it's quick, and sometimes it's a little long, and sometimes I'll include a picture quote with it from me that you can feel free to share on social media or just forward to a friend who you know needs to hear that message today. Hey, listen, I'd love to have you as part of that texting community. Here's what you have to do. Text the word THRIVE, THRIVE, to 540-369-2139. That's it. And your standard text messaging rates for your plan do apply, but most of us have those unlimited texts for free. I'd love to see you there and engage with me. Again, text THRIVE to 540-369-2139 here in the States. All right, let me get back to my friend Lisa. Let me tell you guys, I had no idea where this conversation was going today. And this woman, y'all, she is my sister from another mister. She lives in Austin. And I thought, man, as soon as this virus thing is over, I'm getting on a plane. I'm flying to Austin because I got to hug this woman's neck. Her heart is gorgeous. Her truth that... let me correct myself there. Not her truth. The truth that she shares is really beautiful and just so needed for us women to hear. So you know what? I'm just going to get out of the way because enough said. Lisa Martinez, enjoy the conversation. Whatever. Yeah. So, hey, Lisa, welcome to the show. So good to have you today.
Great to be here, Dr. Sherri. Thanks for having me.
It is so cool. I've got to say, I'm a little jealous of your background over there.
I love books. So for the people who can't see, there's like books on my desk, books behind me, books on the floor. And that's just in my office. Yeah.
I love it. Like, I'm like, behind me, I have like a big old, I don't know if you can see, like a big old TV and like just white walls. So I love your background right now. I need to like work on that, I think, a little bit.
Okay. Yeah.
But hey, speaking of all those books, do you have a couple favorites to share with us?
Oh, yes. Okay. So I am reading Educated right now.
Okay. Tell us more.
Yes. So this is basically like one of those books that you've seen that movie like In the Wild or something. Basically like,
is that the one with the dog and Harrison Ford?
That probably is it. I think I got the wrong one. But
that's Call of the Wild. Yeah,
anyways,
right. Yeah.
You just think like off the grid people. Like these were anti-government,
Oh yeah.
And, yeah.
Like Appalachia.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And so these guys went off the grid, raised their kids without birth certificates even. Yeah.
Like they don't exist.
No. They seriously did not exist. To anyone except their family. They're asking, like the government's asking for proof, except they're like, I am the proof of my existence, like the very fact I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
So it's a New York Times bestseller. This is one of the daughters that ended up going away to college and becoming a best-selling author. Really cool book. So
I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yes. And then the other one I'm reading is called Hiding in the Upper Room. And this one is written by my dear friend, Kelly Bro.
Okay.
Yeah. And
now I just listened to your podcast episode with her.
Yes. So she is this new author and she asked me to read her book to give feedback. So I'm reading Hiding in the Upper Room, which is basically like she is a mom of, she has 1 daughter on earth. She has 3 in heaven. And so her story through grief and how God healed her through the sacraments is beautiful, beautiful story.
Wow. And is it published yet?
She just published it. Yeah, it just came out last Friday, I believe. So
okay, wow. Yeah. Wow. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that with us. Now, after our brief conversation yesterday, which was so fun, even though I know I've rushed you off the phone and I'm so sorry. I just need to learn to manage my time a little bit better. But you were writing a book.
I am.
And it's not published yet, but tell us about it.
Yeah. So about 4 years ago, God was like, hey, writer, storyteller friend, I have a book
Knock,
for you.
knock, knock.
Yeah. I don't know. It wasn't like one of those audible things where it's like you hear, this is my beloved daughter who will write a book, but it wasn't one of those, but it was just like, in the calm of your heart, I was in a private Catholic infertility Facebook group, and I kept seeing the rumblings. I kept seeing all the,
what was the rumbling? What thread were you seeing?
The rumblings are feeling so isolated, feeling so misunderstood, feeling
man,
just like
man, oh man, if we, that I got to just interrupt that train of thought for a second to nail that down, because it just brings me to tears, honestly. I talk to so many women from various situations that feel so alone and going through not the same, right? Because it's never the same, right? But similar circumstances. And that was the reason that I shut down my practice, because I couldn't connect people with each other. Mm-hmm. And now God granted me this platform.
It's amazing.
To reach women around the world, to let them know they are not alone, to talk about this stuff, that you don't have to grumble alone. So thank you for bringing that up. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we kind of take to this private group to be ourselves, because you don't feel like you could say these things other places. Facebook is supposed to be your glory feed. Instagram is supposed to be all polished and can't show the dirty.
You know what? I totally get all dirty on there. I do.
Good.
Yeah.
Down and dirty.
No shame. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Here's the mess I haven't. Here's the stack of papers I haven't filed for 2 years. There you go.
Right.
So anyways, what happens is, even within the group, they share trigger warnings, right? So like, just in case you don't want to read my crap, about miscarriage, or about, I can't take Facebook today because I see all my friends with kids, whatever those things are, they label it trigger warning, and then can just vent and just be ourselves.
Yeah.
So I think it was a friend that was talking, there was just somebody that was in there just being raw, like, I can't do this today. I just don't even how, and so we entered in, a lot of people are just crying out from their sadness, from their deep sufferings,
It's such an empty place.
It's not just your womb that's barren, right? I mean,
it's
completely broken.
Right.
The one thing I wanted in life, it's being, withheld, so to speak. And so anyways, as I was going in there and I was thinking, God just kind of laid it on my heart, like, what is it that we need, And it was like this, the Lord just revealed, it was a devotional to speak truth into these lives.
Yeah.
And really because as women, we already struggle with our identity in specific ways. And then with infertility, it hits us right in those tender spots.
Right in who you're supposed to be.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It's a sucker punch. It's a gut punch.
It is.
Like right there. And you are like not expecting that I'm going to grapple with the very person that I thought that I was, what I wanted out of life. And you are grieving so many things. Yeah. And you can't talk about it, you know? And I remember
we believe we can't talk about it.
That's it. Right.
That's it.
Yeah. Right. I'm not going to be accepted. I'm not going to be heard. People don't want to hear this kind of thing. They're not going to understand.
Well, and I think a lot of times they don't, Lisa, because I think what happens is people are so uncomfortable with such depth of grief that they don't know what to say. Yeah. And so a lot of times, unintentionally, they hurt us by saying things like, aren't you over that? Are you going to get over that? Can you move on from that? Yeah. Like, I have had part of me taken away. Can you ever get over that? Like, do you have, did you have an arm taken off by an accident or get over it? Like, I don't.
No. Hello. And then in that, we're offered little trite, recommendations.
Yeah.
Right? We covered this briefly, which is,
go into it.
Yeah. Right. Like when my mom passed away, there's another angel in heaven. And I said, first, like internally seething, like that is not even theologically correct.
Right.
That is not how God makes angels. Angels were created way before humans.
Right.
It's something to say. It's something,
something to say.
It's something to say because we're trying to, kind of buttonhole this and just say, let's find the positive. Let's find the positive in this. And
hey, can you do me a favor, Lisa? Yeah. Now, I don't want to interrupt you. I want you to finish that train of thought, but I would love, I think you hit on something that's huge, that I'm talking about, in the context of something other than, infertility grief. Yeah. But, can we help the listeners? Can you help us understand maybe like, let's do a little juxtaposition of things that people say, these trite things to say that people say, because they just have to have something to say, and maybe a recommendation for what might be more helpful.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. A good one is, I remember my husband and I were talking to someone who sells cars, right? It's the first time we're ever meeting her. And the common question comes up, and this is just a normal question. So I'm not saying people cannot ask this question because this is how we interact with people. Do you have kids? We're married. It's very natural to ask married people do you have kids. So you can ask this question, people. You can ask if people have kids, right? Not an off-topic question. And it's right there that I have a choice of how I'm going to respond, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I can say no. And then we all kind of, whatever. They
stare into the empty silence.
Yeah, because there's just a kind of a wondering there. Like,
well, why? Yeah. Yep.
It's the natural question. Why don't you have kids? So normally how I answer that is I say, not yet. I say not yet. And because I do believe that God has a plan for my family, we are discerning that. And I think most people don't understand that infertility is one thing, and then there is a discernment that happens to if God's calling you to another calling. Mother Teresa calls this a call within a call. So infertility was what the suffering that God brought to us, and then what are we going to do with that? Are we going to be foster parents? Are we going to become foster to adopt parents? Are we going to just be? I don't want to say just. Are we going to be a family of two?
Thank you. Yeah.
No just.
Say that. Yep. Yeah.
Or that we are adopting, or whatever that calls. I'm going to be a spiritual mother. I'm going to have, really be involved in my nephews and nieces' lives like I often am. Or called to mother in other ways.
Yeah.
What I mean? So anyways, this woman kind of came into us and was like, do you have kids? No. And I said, not yet, I guess. And it came to the discussion of, that we had infertility.
Yeah.
And quickly it came into her recommendation of what we should do with that. Not knowing our names.
Right.
Not knowing our story. Was like, well, you can adopt. I have a friend of a cousin of a dog's owners.
Right. Well, thank God you said that because I had never even considered that. Brilliant. Oh my goodness.
That was amazing. So I feel like here's the thing. If you want to listen to someone, take in what they have to say.
Oh, good.
You don't have to fix what you consider.
That's right. Yeah.
So if you're going to say something, just check yourself for a second and say, am I trying to fix something or am I trying to love them?
Just listen.
Yeah. Just listen to me.
Oh, I love that.
And so when you come into that, I would just say if my response is not yet, and then you want to say, well, you could do all these different things, or have you tried standing on your head after sex? Whatever these things are.
Here's a magic potion for you. I swear by it. It's worked in my family for years.
That's right.
Yeah.
Ancient Mayan ritual.
Right.
Whatever those things are.
Don't try to fix it. Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe I'm not saying that, God isn't ever going to use you to try to speak,
Sure.
some kind of
Okay, good point.
Yeah. Let's just check yourself. Like, is this from God or is this me trying to fix?
There you go.
I'm not trying to fix what it is. And so maybe what I would just recommend to people, and this is in grief, and I think this is in infertility, and this is if someone was diagnosed with cancer, this is so many things in life, right? I just tell you, like, something hard and deep. I share something from my heart with you. And when I share that with you, you can say, gosh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know what that feels like.
Yes. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm going to pray for you. Now I'm going to tell you, there was these two ladies. This was so beautiful. In New York, we went to New York, and thank God when we could still travel, right? And
to New York City?
Yeah, New York City.
Okay.
It was my husband's bucket list to be in New York's Times Square for, the ball drop, the whole thing and stuff.
God love you. I could never.
Oh, I know. Everybody was like, how are you going to do this? And we ended up finding a place to go inside because standing outside for about 12 hours wasn't going to happen that day. But anyways, there was it was our last day in New York after the ball drop this past New Year's 2020. And we ended up in this mall, and we had to use the restroom. So my husband was looking for a place to sit down because his back was hurting after walking 9 miles that day.
Right. and standing forever. Yeah.
Exactly. So when I came back, he was sitting at this table with two women. There was two older white ladies.
You're like, are you moving in on my man?
I was like, okay, we're easy to talk to as you're picking up on, Right. So we became fast friends with these ladies. I don't even remember their names, to be honest. And they were women of faith.
Yeah. And
one started talking to my husband, and I started talking to the one that was sitting next to me. And she asked me the famous question, do you have kids? And I said, no, not yet. And we started talking. It was so beautiful. Like, her heart just recognized that she stepped into my pain.
Yeah.
And she apologized. And she just said, like, it was so beautiful. Like, she was so sensitive. Like, she was just like, I didn't even realize, like, I came right into that with you. And because of her, like, sensitivity, I wanted to let her know that was okay. It wasn't hurting me,
Yeah.
And so I gave her permission to be there with me because I knew that she was safe. I just had this feeling like, you're okay.
Wow.
So I said, it's okay, And I said, my husband and I actually are discerning adoption abroad. So we are discerning adopting from Colombia currently.
Okay.
And that's before all this hit. And now we can't go anywhere, but
we have some listeners to this podcast in Colombia.
Well, Colombia, call me up.
Right. But there you go. You heard it here first.
Heard it here first. So when I talked with her about that, she really entered into just a beautiful place with me. Mm-hmm. And Mike and I were having to get ready to walk back to our hotel because we had to catch a flight. And before we left, her and her friends said, hang on a second. Could we pray with you? Could we pray with you before we go? I'm going to tell you, these women, I mean, that's something, that's to listeners who might be like, seriously, like in a mall without people you don't know. Like, that guy calls, like, that's not strange to me at all. Like, just based on my life. Like,
it's like, bring it, give it. Yeah.
But it's usually God that's calling me to do that with someone.
Oh, okay. What was that like for you to be on the receiving end?
I cried.
Yeah. That's humbling.
It is. It's just tears were streaming down my face because I said, God, you usually call me to do that. And here you just called me to receive from these beautiful souls. They were Christians. We just communed together. They just really prayed over God's calling in our life. And that really, like, just to give us this hope and this assurance that God has a plan for us. And it wasn't this, like, she didn't just say, sweetheart, God has a plan for you. There you go. Pat me on the head and just see me off, It wasn't anything trite. There wasn't anything trying to fix. It was like, can we bring you to Jesus? Can we bring you to the Father? And can we bring you to these intentions and know that God has a parenting plan, however that's going to work in your life. And we're just going to ask God we're going to come together right now in this mall and just bring it down. And it was humbling. It was beautiful. And what a open-hearted response. And that's what I would just say. I'm not going to give you like a list of do's and don'ts. Like you could look that up on the internet, but what I would just say is just say like, is this positive? Is this upbuilding to the kingdom?
Yeah.
Like if I speak these words, because, in the scriptures, it tells us like with our tongue, we have the power to bless and curse.
Yes, we do. Oh my goodness. Yes, we do.
They said there's nothing more deceitful than the human tongue.
That's right.
Really, it's the heart and the tongue that the scriptures really dig on, because what's in the heart comes out through the mouth. Right?
Oh man, I don't like that, Lisa. I don't like that, because I go, oh, did I say that?
I'm so sorry. Here's the thing, though, we can do. If we do that, if we stumble, right, we said the wrong thing.
Right.
Right. I can apologize. I can come back to you later and I can just say, gosh, I'm so sorry I said that. I can't believe I responded that way. It was so dumb. I don't even know why I said that, or whatever the thing is,
Yeah, that's a great point.
And that's okay. We can make mistakes, but we can correct also.
Yeah. Well, and you hit on a couple of things that I want to say. Well, one, like maybe you don't remember their names because maybe, Lisa, you were entertaining angels. I don't know. You never know.
These women were beautiful souls if they were souls.
Yeah. Well, and then the other thing that you touched on was giving and receiving, because when you said it, usually you're the one that's on the giving end of let me pray for you. And man, I think that is one of the biggest challenges for women in general is the receiving part. Sure. I just had a conversation with a friend the other day, and she said to me, she said, Sherri, she said, you spend so much time giving and pouring into other people. She said, but I just got a message for you that you need to open up and you need to receive that. Oh, and I was like, whoa. And that is not the first person that's told me that in the last 6 months. In fact, our mutual friend, Michelle Hilliard, told me that too. So I'm, I'm working on that. But so that's why I asked you, what it's like to receive, because I definitely know that if you and I both, that's an uncomfortable, at least initially, position to be in, that we're not alone in that.
No, I'll share this with you because this is the story the Lord's pressing on my heart. And I think there's a nugget in there for you and perhaps a listener too.
Wonderful.
I live in Austin, Texas right now, but I grew up in the suburb of Detroit, Michigan. I've also lived in Louisiana, but we live.
What part of Louisiana? I was there for a year.
I lived I lived in a small town outside Lafayette.
Okay, I was in Baton Rouge.
Okay, you called Eunice. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, girl. Yeah, and so my husband and I met in Dallas 10 years ago. We just celebrated our 10 years since our first date this past weekend.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, exciting and new.
Yeah. Right. Exciting and new every day.
Right. Yeah, this is like old and, trying to keep alive. No, right. I'm joking. Yeah. But so basically we moved to Austin. We felt God call us here very clearly. And it took a couple years for us to get here, but the week before we were supposed to move, I fell down the stairs of our condo in Dallas.
Oh, my.
And I fell on the top of my foot and I sprained my ankle very badly. Mm. And so we had to push our move back a week. And talk about being forced to be in a receptive position.
Yeah.
When you need to just go full on, and stuff. Like I had to have my nephew packing for me. And, that's something that was very humbling. And just to hobble around for 3 months. The first 3 months that I lived in Austin, I couldn't drive because it was my right foot. And my husband was commuting to Dallas for over a year of our marriage and had to work in Dallas for 3 days a week. So I was home a lot. I was by myself. I was in this new town. I couldn't get around. I had to Uber and whatever. And I'm a very highly sensitive person. If you don't know highly sensitive person, listeners, look that up. It's when you can really discover a lot about yourself, by looking up HSP is basically what they call it. So anyways, I had to go to an orthopedic doctor's appointment, And when I came out, I had a new Uber driver, right? You never know who you have.
You
And
don't.
you never know who you're getting. And really, like any time, and I would say that this happened a lot through my grief journey, through my infertility journey, and my trauma, which we haven't even touched on yet,
Yeah.
is that anytime that I would start to get into this self-pitying kind of mode, God would just like full on bring somebody in my life that would just really kind of give me the hope or inspiration to say, don't settle there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't go there, Lisa. Don't stay there. Like you can feel it. I'm not going to negate your feelings, but don't stay there.
Don't stay.
So I hobbled in the back of her car, and I can't remember what this lady's face looks like because I saw the back of her head and I just saw her eyes in the, in the rearview mirror there.
Well, that's all we're seeing now with masks walking around, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so she said, and she saw where it's come from. We started talking about living in Austin because I was new there. So, places to eat and all these different things. And we had a great conversation. And throughout the conversation, she told me that she had to have over 20 surgeries on her, I think on her legs, her ankles.
Oh my!
Like, fused her ankles together, her ankle with the bone there. She had a lot of issues with her ankles and her legs and her feet, and she just seemed like this joyful soul. Like she wasn't just like this. I got all these problems.
Right.
She wasn't like this down in the dump, mopey, what I mean? She told me that, when she would have to be out an extended time, she would have to be in a wheelchair because she couldn't be on her feet for that long. But this woman just seemed like she was doing life. I mean, she was Uber driving, she was making things happen. Like she was, just still having the joy of the Lord in her heart. And so we pulled up to the house and she said, I said, just navigate around my trash cans there. We actually have 3 cans in Austin. There's a compost can, there's a recycle bin, and a trash can.
Yeah.
And so I said, just navigate around this, and that's my driveway. It's like a really steep driveway. So she pulls up and she said, "Would you like me to take your trash bins back for you?"
Oh my goodness!
Right. This is definitely not a part of Uber drivers' responsibilities. This is completely a separate issue, right? I don't think my neighbors would even do this. I was so immediately, my response was no, I was like, no, like I know this woman has like ankle and foot and leg problems. So I was just like, no. And I was like, that's okay. And she just said, I think I could do it better than you could right now. And when she said it, it was the truth.
Yeah. And
she said it was so humbling. And I said, you're right. And I let her take my trash cans back.
Wow.
And Sherri, I came in my house and I cried over this woman taking my trash cans back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why? Because of what you just said. And here's the thing. When you speak life into me, right, and I receive that, it's a blessing for you and for me, right? Yeah. Because God's using you in a way to bless me, but also He's blessing you by extending that blessing, right? So by me not allowing you to do that, or by me not receiving from you, not allowing you to bless me.
Yes.
And it is prideful. It is.
It is.
What I mean? And so it was prideful of me to say you can't. It was very humbling for me to say you can. And when I came in, I just thought, I'm crying over the trash cans, really? No, I'm not crying over the trash cans. No. I'm crying over this woman's spirit to see, I see that you need help even you can't even take your trash cans back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so really in that, I learned a big lesson of, if your first reaction to any time someone wants to help you is to say no, or that you feel like you need to pay someone back. My husband's big on this.
Or you feel like you're a burden, or you feel guilty, or Yeah.
You're denying them a blessing that they want to give to you, and stuff.
Man, how do we keep that in front of us? Because it's a tough one.
It is a tough one. It is a tough one. I think it really, I don't know if you've heard of the prayer, the Litany of Humility.
No, tell me. Tell us.
Oh my gosh. Look up Litany of Humility. It is a very difficult prayer to pray because really it's, Lord, deliver me from myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Oh,
deliver
girl,
me.
I pray that every day.
Oh, girl. Yeah, right. You know, basically the entire prayer is just like, you know, free me from myself, free me
Yeah.
from pride, free me um, from the need to have other people recognize me,
Yeah.
from the need to have, you know, all of these things that really kind of like stroke my ego and give me comfort. You're
Yeah.
asking God to strip you of those
Yeah.
things. And it's really, really hard to pray because he'll do it, you know?
Yeah.
And the ways that it comes is not like necessarily this pretty like package, you know, and stuff, but it's, you know, maybe, you know, I've had people that I really trusted betray me, you know.
Yeah.
I've had people that I really admired and looked up to, you know, hurt me deeply. And so, you know, I've had clients in the middle of a project recently just 180, we're done, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that, you know, Mother Teresa says that, you know, the path to humility is learning to accept humiliations, and it's to do it with a sense of joy, you know?
You know, you just really, really ministered to me because with that, not just with the story, but with the message. I'm really glad that this came into play because I want to share this not only with you, but with the women listening. So God has, I have been, so I'm a, what I call a thriving thoughts expert, right? Like,
Yeah.
and it's not a spin. It's
Yeah.
really seeing life through the truth, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm in the unique position and have been for about the last 6 months of just being the recipient of many blessings.
Yeah. I love that.
And it's been, but I gotta tell you, I've been working on this thought in my mind for some time and praying about it, but I didn't recognize that what I have been doing is kind of like opening my hands like this and cringing.
Yeah.
Like while, man, that's raw.
Yeah.
Cringing like while I'm receiving.
Yeah.
And I think the message is open your arms and dance and be like, yeah, give me some more, you know?
I feel it. You know, I have like Holy Spirit goosebumps all over my body as you're saying that right now. And I think so on, you know, if people are familiar with the Enneagram,
Yeah, I'm really not, but
yeah.
tell us. Yeah.
Yeah. So Enneagram is also another kind of one of those older, I don't say like it's kind of personality type a little bit, but it's really like kind of, it's more geared around what is your deepest desire? What is your deepest fear? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a 2, which is called the helper, which I could see,
I think I am.
Yeah, I could see you being a helper. You could look up Enneagram Institute online and they'll give you a lot of resources about the 9 different types.
Okay.
And then there's like little tests that you can take and short tests and free tests and paid tests and all kinds of stuff. But I'm a 2, which is a helper. And so we need to be needed, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we need to be needed. And our greatest fear is that we're unlovable.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Speak that, girl.
Oh man.
Speak that.
This is a real, and I remember I was on a retreat. There's a beautiful group called the John Paul II Healing Center, and they're in Tallahassee, Florida. These people do these retreats all over the country. They started in Florida, and now they go out and they come to Austin several times. They've come to my church even, and we talked about our woundedness. We talked about the 7 deadly wounds, which is a big one of mine is abandonment. And after going through a series of talks and spending time with the Lord in different ways through confession, through adoration, we were allowed time to have people pray over us. And so I went up to the prayer team that was there to minister to me, and they asked me to speak the lie that I believed. Right? So really what they say is like, there's these inner vows that we make that are rooted with our wounds that we speak when we come into pain. So
yeah.
My trauma from, just to back it up to go forward here, my trauma from childhood was sexual abuse that started at age 4. No one knew that this was happening. And I repressed it until 19 years old.
Wow.
And so through all of that and it coming up later in life, you start to think, oh my gosh, now my life kind of makes sense, but I didn't know this for like 15 years. And so you're just spiraling, like, what the heck is this about? So a lot of my woundedness and my lies were really buried, because that's how I just protected myself. My brain like just went into this protection mode. And then when I came into a safe place and God said, now's the time, it wasn't because, oh, let's let the crap hit the fan here and let's really it was like God was just being like, in his love and mercy for me, little one, I don't want you to carry this forever.
Yeah.
And there's no other way to deal with pain. There's no shortcuts. There's no way around it. You have to go through it.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to do it. It's the worst, but you just got to do it. So this identity lie to me of like abandonment, that I was even by my parents, who I love deeply and that are rest in peace now. Both of my parents are deceased. Had even abandoned me, and I felt abandoned by God. Even,
yeah. Oh yeah.
Because I cried out to you, God. And
where were you? Yep.
And so I really then came to make this connection in my childhood that God's will equals pain, and that I am unworthy and I am unlovable and I'm not safe. And so my way of dealing with that was to be hidden. I'm in plain view, but let me just downplay everything that I'm feeling. Let me downplay my talents, my gifts. Let me downplay who God created me to be.
Yes.
I don't want to be too much. I don't want you to pay too much attention to me. It's like I want you to see me, but I don't want
don't pay attention too closely.
Yeah. No. And let me tell you, God made me marry a man that is like sees everything. I mean, oh my gosh, this guy sees everything,
and loves you just the same.
Yes, loves me completely. God bless him. I am not. I mean, I'm a daughter of God. I am, but I mean, I have my moments like we do.
Yeah.
And I can be that with him, and he's not afraid of me.
Yeah.
It's not too much. It's not whatever.
Yeah.
So in this retreat, coming back to that, I tell them, they said, what is the lie? So the wound is abandonment. The inner vow that I've made is I can't be known, right?
Yeah,
I can't really be known, because if they know me,
then they'll leave.
They'll hurt me. They'll leave. They'll, and everything. So you don't want to be too vulnerable, because if I allow myself to be vulnerable, if I allow myself to be seen, you'll reject me. You'll leave me. You'll hurt me. And I was hurt by people that I should have never hurt me in that way, and should have cared for me and taken care of me. So it's hard to trust people naturally. And then when you've been abused, that layer of trust is even harder to get, And so you have to be very self-sufficient then as a woman, because I can't let them see. I can't let them see me sweat. I can't, open up too much. I can't. I can only be a level of authentic that I'm comfortable with being. And stuff. And so when we came together and they said, what is that lie that's tied to this wound? And it was that I'm unlovable. And even saying it out loud was like so gut wrenching. And there was a man and a woman that were praying over me. And when she heard me say that, I heard her like kind of audibly like, oh, even her was like groaning.
Yeah.
Like she was like, oh no. And so they came and they prayed over me, and we started. And so they pray in the spirit with you, just to like, let's come in this room. Let's see what the Holy Spirit wants to do. Let's see what God wants to do with this. And then we come into a place where basically they're just pouring into me. God's pouring into me, crying. And God's doing some deep work that you're just not even cognizant of in your brain, because it's bypassing the brain. It's going to your heart. It's going to your spirit. So he's ministering to my heart. And then they said, what about now? Like, does it feel more true, or does it feel like a lie? Like that you're unlovable. Does that feel more true, or does that feel still not true? And I said, it feels more true than not true. Mm-hmm. And they said, okay, is there another thing? And the other thing was that no one will believe me. Mm-hmm. And I think that in the culture that we live in now, after this Me Too movement, when people say, why did it take you 15 years to
Yes.
come out about this?
Another question not to ask.
Right? Like, why didn't you, like, back in the, let me just give you an insight here, people. You've been violated to the very core.
Yeah.
If you want to, like, crush somebody, then take advantage of them through rape or through abuse.
Right.
That right there, and people know this, right? I mean, it's a common thing that this isn't about really even a sexual thing. It's about control.
Yeah.
When you've been taken control of by somebody that has a greater amount of control,
rendered completely helpless.
You are. And it's so violating on every level of the human person. It's emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically, you've been violated. Now I got to talk about it. Now I have to open it up. And here's the thing about trauma. This is what I learned about trauma. We hold it in the somatic part of the brain. We hold it in the part that is not spoken, right?
Yeah.
And in order to heal from it, you have to speak it.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. The trauma is held in the part of the brain that's not spoken. Yeah. You have to say it. And that's why sharing our stories is so empowering.
Yeah.
When you see someone sharing their story and they're kind of like, man, maybe she's crying, and that's not a sign of weakness at all. And maybe she's strong in it. However she's saying it, people are trying to see, like, is it real? Is it true? They're judging us, based on that. But it is a huge fear that you are not going to be believed, right? I'm telling you the most terrible thing that's ever happened to me. And they're making this woman relive it by having to share details that she doesn't want to say.
Right.
Why would I want to say this? This is like the most god-awful thing.
Horrible. Yeah.
Yeah. And then why didn't you say it? Well, maybe that woman just couldn't say it.
Yeah.
She just could not do it. She was so violated, so hurt, so crushed, so broken.
Yeah.
And it did take time for her to finally come to a point where she said, now I'm ready. Now I'm ready.
I think also, Lisa, I think just to play, not devil's advocate, but to see it from a different perspective, I think people sometimes ask that because it's so intolerable to think of that it's almost easier to dismiss it. It's almost easier to try to fix it, to say that either that didn't happen or, whatever it is. I'm not excusing that. I'm just trying to understand that a little bit.
Sure. I totally get it. And I think it's valid, with people when we're, we live in a culture now that I think has kind of swung to the other side, and we're very hypersensitive of it. Right. And so, people are kind of very tentative about the way they speak with women and things like that. But I think that there is really something and here's the other thing that I'm very sensitive about when people say, well, speak your truth. And I was like, good. Yes, I see where you're going with it. But I want to speak the truth.
That's right.
I don't want to speak
a truth.
Yeah. I don't want to speak my version of the truth. Whatever. I'm speaking the truth.
That's right.
Yeah. So
it's become a very popular phrase, along with living unapologetically. Like, I don't like I'm gonna apologize. Like, if I've hurt you, I'm not gonna live for me and live unapologetic. So I think these phrases, they mean well, but I think they quickly snowball into something that is very unhealthy for us.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
So, hey, Lisa, we have, I just love everything we've talked about, but we only have maybe 10 minutes left. So
okay, bring it.
In that time, a couple of things. One, how does all of this, how does your story, your life, your gifting, your desire to be a helper, how does that play into your ministry of Little with Great Love? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So littlewithgreatlove.com is a site that we started, and we just launched it in mid-January. And going, backing it up a little bit to how we got there. I journeyed with my dad for 2 years through the end of his life, which was, we just had the 1 year anniversary last month, and we buried him a year ago. So,
wow,
I was a total daddy's girl. And afterwards, a lot of people that knew me knew I was going to need time to just kind of recover from that and not just dive into something. And
Sure.
God used those people in my life to just say, let's just go slow. Just go slow right now. Like for 2 years, you were his primary caretaker and poured out. You're talking about pouring out.
Yeah.
As experienced spiritual poverty on a completely new level. And then I just had to stop and not try to dive into something new and take something on. So I gave the Lord space with me for several months and allowed myself to kind of dream again and say, what do you want from me and what do you have for me? So this was an Etsy shop that I originally had started.
Is it still an Etsy shop?
It still is an Etsy shop. Yeah, Little with Great Love is still an Etsy. And it was a place for me to have my mother-in-law's crochet because she loves to do those things. And then I'm also, I'm a creative, so I'm a writer and I'm an artist and I play music and I sing. And so then I knew eventually I wanted to be a place where I want to share my artwork and things of that nature. And so I started dreaming about that. You know, Little with Great Love is really a combination of Mother Teresa's spirituality and Saint Therese of Lisieux, who Saint Therese of Lisieux was about doing, they call it the little way, which is really just making small sacrifices, you know? So that person, you know, next door with, you know, it's just driving me nuts with their, you know, their little ramblings or whatever, you know, you just kind of learn to love these little things and offer them up as sacrifices, you know? And then Mother Teresa really is about doing small things with great love, you know, very similar in that regard. And these women really, you know, I look up to them, you know, and stuff as kind of role models. And so it was a combination of those two things. Let's make it Little with Great Love. And God just said, you know, I want you to share your restoration journey, which is still very, when I say a journey, it's a never arrived.
That's right. Yeah.
Place. It's an ongoing work. You know, day by day, we work out our salvation, as the scriptures say. And so let's share your restoration journey. But Lisa, this is so not about you. None of this is about me at all. Yeah. This really is about how God has seen me as a daughter and as a sinner, and he's reached out and said, if you let me use you, we can do some things together.
Yes, yes.
So basically in that's what it is. It's not about my story. It's about our restoration journey. And it's really about the work that God's done in us. And it really is just us giving him permission to do that. And so we're sharing our stories. We're sharing our restoration stories. We're sharing recipes. We're sharing, you know, it's.
Now, when you say we, who's we?
Yeah. So there are currently about 8 of us that are blogging together. I have one on maternity leave.
Okay.
We got some mamas in there, and we are women from all different backgrounds. So we have, you know, single women. We have my husband and I. You know, we're family of 2. We have homeschooling mamas, 6 kids, like Michelle. Yeah, our mutual friend, and Tammy, and I have a nurse that's her, you know, lives with her dog, and a single woman that, you know, quit a 6-figure job to like follow God's calling in her life.
Girl, are you talking about me?
You should be on the blog, Dr. Sherri. You have great stories.
Oh, man.
You do. Yeah. So we're just like this eclectic group of disciples. I call us the discipleship team.
Okay.
And we are sharing our stories of restoration. And basically, you know, I'll share some of my stories with grief and trauma and with, you know, the infertility, and they're going to share their stories from where they are. You know, if they're homeschooling a homeschooling mom, stay-at-home mom, or from a single woman or whatnot. Yeah. And so this restoration journey is really, again, you know, of how God's working in our lives. And we're just sharing that as just, you know, we're just another sinner at the table. That's just saying, hey, come to the banquet table of the Lord with us, you know?
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. I have so much from this conversation, so much imagery in my head that's just so beautiful. I just love how the words are translating into these pictures. I'm already like, I've got like 10 not blog posts, but 10 social media posts that I need to go write like right now.
I love it.
Yeah. So thank you for inspiring me. You have been incredible. Now, how can people find you? I know you have a website, and then you have a book coming up.
Yep. So the book is really going to be my infertility story. It is a devotional that we started to talk about, and that will be, haven't pitched it yet to publishers. That's up and coming. Very soon, and I'm getting my materials ready to submit. And so I don't know where that's going to live yet, except that I want it to be on Little with Great Love.
Okay.
And we're also on Facebook. Look us up on Facebook, Little with Great Love. And then we're on Instagram, and it's Little W Great Love, so it's not too long on Instagram.
Got it.
We're on Pinterest too, so you can find us socially.
You're busy, girl. Are you on Twitter too?
I have my personal Twitter, and I have a personal Twitter, but I do have a team, and so actually, I didn't mention that one of our contributors, she's a 20-something. She's like right on the border of millennial and what's the next one?
Gen Z.
Yeah, Gen Z. Okay. Yeah. So she's technically Gen Z, but she has a lot of millennialness in her.
I need to surround myself with more of those, man.
So awesome. Yeah, they're just amazing group. Mysterious too. You're kind of like, I don't get that about you, but okay. But I love you.
Right.
I love you. And so it's actually my niece, Alyssa, and she is in, God kind of used my background with media. So I do marketing and have had my own business and a nonprofit called I Amplify. And she, came to visit my dad last year, and actually was here when he passed away. She was on her spring break last March. And we had a talk. We went out, and I thought, what would I want to tell my 20-year-old self? Like what? Yeah. Because I see a lot of myself in her. And so we went out for tacos, as one does in Austin, and tortillas.
I want to come see you, but I can only have corn tortillas because I'm gluten free.
Oh, we can
make that happen. Okay,
we can easily navigate.
All right.
I've thought of 3 places right now.
All right. Yeah.
So So anyways, we were out at Torchy's and thinking of my 20-year-old self, and I told her, you're a writer, and we share that love. And I said, so, God, it's like everybody needs content right now. That's what everybody needs to do. Yeah. So she's in a master's program right now with Florida International University. Okay. And they do the Miami ad school. They work with an actual ad school in Miami. Yeah, wow. Hipster, right? And so she does our social media. She's amazing because that's what she's studying right now in her master's.
Did she do your website too?
No, I actually worked with an amazing designer. Her name's Carla.
Your website is beautiful.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Yeah, Carla Alfaro, give her a shout out. It was our art director and helped me with the rebranding. She did the rebranding, amazing job on the rebranding, and then the website. She was instrumental in the whole entire look and feel of it, which is just really supposed to be a place of comfort.
Yeah, yeah, nice, Lisa. We've come to the end of our podcast episode. I know.
I don't like it.
I'm like in a new grieving process right now.
I wish I could hold you.
Hey, listen, I always close out every show with this last question for every single guest. Yeah. And because it's all about the little lies and the big truths, and you have just brought so much value to us regarding that. And so I'd love for you to leave us with one truth that we can remember when this conversation ends.
The one truth is keep your eyes fixed on Christ. Keep your eyes fixed on Christ. Think of Peter in the boat. I can identify with him very much. And when you become too aware of your own brokenness and of the circumstances around you that are so overwhelming and so, hopeless, and there's so much fear and there's so much anxiety and so many things that are happening that are beyond our control. When we become too aware of that, we really do begin to sink and we become overwhelmed, and there's really nothing to comfort us. But if we keep our eyes fixed on Christ, I mean, he's the rock. He's the one that will keep us walking on water. So that's what I would leave you with.
I hope you all were as blessed as I was to have that conversation with my friend Lisa. Wasn't that beautiful? I mean, just going through the various phases of what we think about, of how for those of us, most women who are helpers, how it's so difficult to receive, and how we form our identities based on our wounds. I just love the truths that Lisa shared, and I hope that you lean into those and remember those this week. Another thanks to my friend Derek Kretzer for the music you're listening to in the background, and hey, tune in next week. Next week is another special bonus episode with me, yours truly, Dr. Sherri. I can't wait to speak some truth into you next week, all by my lonesome, but please do come back and check us out every Sunday. We are releasing a new episode. Until next time, my friends, speak truth over the lies so you can thrive in any and every circumstance.